Welcome to this explainer. Canadian civics can often seem like this giant, overwhelming puzzle with 1,000 different pieces. But what if I told you there's a hidden pattern that unlocks the whole thing? Today, we are looking at Canada's system of government through a surprisingly simple framework, the rule of threes. To get us started, I want to pose a question that honestly confuses people both inside and outside the country. Who actually runs Canada? Is it the king, who sits across the Atlantic? Is it the prime minister, who we see on the news every single day? Or is it your local mayor and city council? Well, it's kind of a trick question, because the answer involves literally all of them, but in very distinct, highly structured ways. Let's dive in. Here is our roadmap for today. You'll see how everything groups beautifully into sets of three. First, the three pillars of government. Second, state versus government heads. Third, the three parts of parliament. And fourth, the three levels of government. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the three pillars of government. First up, we have parliamentary democracy. Basically, this means the ultimate power lies with you. Citizens elect representatives to sit in the House of Commons and provincial legislatures to pass laws and keep the government accountable. And it's actually really dynamic. Cabinet ministers absolutely must maintain what's called the confidence of the House. If a majority of representatives vote against a major decision, like a budget, boom, the government is defeated and has to resign. It's high-stakes democracy in constant action. Now, in a really fascinating contrast to that vibrant democracy, Canada is also a constitutional monarchy. This means the head of state is a hereditary sovereign, currently His Majesty King Charles III, who reigns strictly by the Constitution and the rule of law. Because the crown is a nonpartisan symbol, it remains completely above everyday politics. This provides incredible stability and continuity for the country, honestly, no matter which political party happens to be in power at the time. Moving right along to Section 2, state versus government heads. So let's clear up one of the most common areas of confusion out there, the clear dividing line between the state and the government. The head of state is the sovereign. This is a purely symbolic, unifying role. They are the ultimate guardian of constitutional freedoms, totally outside of partisan politics. The head of government, however, is the prime minister. This is the operational role. The prime minister directs the actual governing of the country, selects the cabinet, and runs the day-to-day operations of all the federal departments. But wait, you might be wondering, if the king lives an ocean away, how does he actually perform his daily duties? Well, that's where the governor general comes in. Appointed by the sovereign, but on the advice of the prime minister, they usually serve roughly 5-year terms. They are essentially the sovereign's boots on the ground here in Canada. They do things like give royal assent to bills and represent Canada at official ceremonies. It's a really vital role historically fulfilled by figures like David Johnston, who was the 28th Governor General since Confederation. Okay, Section 3, the three parts of Parliament. Take a look at this incredible historical photo. That's Queen Elizabeth II opening Parliament in Ottawa way back in 1957. And it perfectly captures the very first part of Parliament, the sovereign. See, no proposed law, which we call a bill, can become actual Canadian law until it receives royal assent. The Crown's approval is that final, absolute stamp of authority. So, what about the other two parts? Well, the second and third parts of Parliament are the two chambers. First, the House of Commons. This is the representative chamber, made up of members of Parliament, or MPs, who are directly elected by the people to represent specific geographical areas, which are called ridings. And alongside them is the Senate. Now, senators aren't elected, they're appointed to represent Canada's varied regions and minority groups, and they carefully review proposed laws until they reach age 75. So here is exactly how those three parts interact to actually create a law. It's a super strict 3-step chronological sequence. Step 1, the elected MPs in the House of Commons debate, amend, and eventually pass the bill. Step 2, the bill moves over to the Senate, where those appointed senators review it, maybe suggest a few more changes, and then vote to pass it. Finally, Step 3, once both chambers agree on the exact same text, the bill is presented for royal assent, where the Governor General signs it on behalf of the sovereign. Only after surviving all 3 of those steps does a bill become a binding Canadian law. Which brings us to Section 4, the 3 levels of government. Think about your average day for a second. When you step outside, you see roads being paved, maybe you catch a public bus, and at the same time, you know there's a military out there defending the nation's borders. It would be absolute chaos if one single office tried to manage all of that for the second largest country in the world, right? So how exactly is it split up? Well, responsibilities are deeply divided into 3 levels.
The federal government in Ottawa handles the massive, nationwide stuff: national defense, foreign policy, and citizenship. Then provincial and territorial governments step in for things related to social well-being, like your education, healthcare, and those major highways. And finally, municipal governments handle the things you literally notice the second you step off your porch. We're talking firefighting, public transit, and, crucially for surviving a Canadian winter, snow removal.
At that local level, municipal governments are usually run by a mayor and a council of elected representatives. They aren't passing nationwide statutes. Instead, they pass local bylaws that are specifically tailored to keep your specific city or town running smoothly. From urban planning to sanitation, honestly, this is the level of government you actually interact with the most on a daily basis. But of course, life doesn't always fit into perfectly neat little boxes. Some issues are just so complex and wide-reaching that they require teamwork. So our system allows for shared responsibilities between the federal and provincial governments. Key areas like agriculture, immigration, and the environment fall into this shared jurisdiction. And this flexibility is actually brilliant because it allows the federal government to set broad national standards while giving provinces the freedom to adopt policies that are perfectly tailored to their own unique local populations. We have covered a lot of structural ground today, from the crown all the way down to the local snowplow. But listen, none of this machinery works without its fuel, and that's the citizens. As our source material reminds us, living in a democracy means Canadian citizens have the right and the responsibility to participate in making decisions that affect them. Whether it's a federal, provincial, or municipal election, casting your secret ballot is exactly what keeps this entire system accountable. It's what ensures the government truly reflects the will of the people. The prosperity and diversity of this country absolutely depend on all citizens working together within this amazing Rule of Threes framework. In seeking to understand this system, or even if you're seeking to become a citizen yourself, you're engaging with a country that will only continue to thrive with your active participation. So, I want to leave you with one final vital question to chew on. How will you make your contribution to Canada? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. Stay curious, and I'll catch you next time.